Today for Devotions with Daniella, we are reading from the first book of Daniella, Uncultured. It's about growing up in the Children of God religious cult and going into the cult of the U.S. Army. So we are deployed to Afghanistan. I am the senior captain, who is the intelligence officer for the battalion of helicopters. And a young woman, 19 years old, who works for me, had accused one of the pilots of harassing her and then had kind of turned on me and a bunch of other people trying to help her as well. And then I was told by the boss that I needed to take one for the team. 3 weeks later, I bumped down the road in a beat-up white Toyota with Lieutenant Colonel Halter at the wheel. Both of us summoned to report before Colonel Maxwell to hear the final verdict. This is the brigade commander who's above us. I'd never been given another chance to speak in my own defense once I'd enlisted counsel. Whatever happens in there, my battalion commander said as we approached brigade headquarters, just keep your cool. Colonel Maxwell, always one for theater, was carefully staged at his desk, U.S. and military flags displayed behind him, when Lieutenant Colonel Halter and I were ushered in. I immediately went to the position of attention as protocol dictates when formally reporting to a superior, a more serious stance than I'd ever been called on to adopt with him in the past. This time there were no smiles, no sign of recognition on his face, no, at ease, soldier. He merely snapped at me to put down my coffee, which I absent-mindedly still held in one hand, trembling in front of my body. I understood at once why all us junior officers had fought so hard, grappled with each other, to stay in the favor of these few men in power. He read the official letter of reprimand aloud, a non-judicial move they'd decided on once I'd enlisted counsel to fight back. Like the type of divorce I'd filed against Jeff, it meant they'd left me nothing to fight. Though I wouldn't likely be convicted of anything, the letter of reprimand, if it stood, would almost certainly mean my hard-fought career would be over in disgrace. I would go from the golden child, an impressive military intelligence officer and decorated runner, someone who'd helped make military history for women, maybe with a chance to make general someday, to someone who maybe wouldn't even see her next promotion. After the reading, he folded his hands on the desk. He said, "Now, Danielle," and while I knew he'd misnamed me on purpose, my heart quickened at the reminder of my friend, and it gave me strength instead of depleting me. "I don't think you quite grasp the seriousness of your actions here," he said. "Your failure to act correctly on a complaint of this seriousness, your failure to secure your soldier's personal cell phone, your ill-advised romantic relationship with someone in the unit." I ticked off the crimes in my head, the things Private Parker had said about me, the missing cell phone, loving Tom. "Danielle," Colonel Maxwell continued, "I don't think there's any way that someone like you can understand what this girl has gone through. Think about that and submit your rebuttal." Dismissed. Back in the car, tears fell silently down my face while my shoulders shook violently, my body ignoring every warning I'd ever heard to never let them see me cry. What did Colonel Maxwell mean by someone like me? How could he possibly think he understood what women went through on a deployment, or what constant and endemic sexual harassment was like every single day in uniform, in our whole lives? What did he think he knew about me and my life? And did any man really have the hubris to think he knew more about what women went through than another woman? I turned my head to the window, but I wasn't fooling Lieutenant Colonel Scott Halter. We didn't say a word on the 15-minute drive back to the battalion headquarters. After parking the car, we walked slowly toward the Tactical Operations Center. He turned to face me, his normally serious face softened. "Sir," I said, voice hiccuping, "I won't accept an official reprimand for creating and allowing an atmosphere of sexual harassment among my soldiers." "I can't possibly understand what that girl has been through," I mimicked Colonel Maxwell's voice disrespectfully. "I cared about Parker, and I tried to help her. That was my phone that I gave her so she wouldn't be stuck alone at night in this crazy, dangerous place with no way to call for help." I saw the surprise in his eyes. That was new information that had never been considered, since I'd never been given another opportunity to speak in my own defense. How much more was there? I felt him wondering. Nearly hysterical and heedless of who might be watching from inside headquarters, I continued, "None of you could possibly understand what this means to me. I'll go to a court-martial if I have to, but I won't accept this." I sobbed, even though I knew I couldn't fight an administrative action with a legal response. I didn't do it, and I won't say I'm guilty of harming that girl. I won't sign it. You and I both know the truth. "Daniella, calm down," Lieutenant Colonel Halter said softly. "I know this seems bad. This may be the worst thing you've been through in your life. But I promise you, this will pass. I know for a fact that he doesn't intend to give you a permanent letter of reprimand. And obviously, he doesn't have all the information since you refused to speak without a lawyer, which was your right." He started talking about the rebuttal, about keeping it simple, acting calm, and giving the commander the information he needed. It would probably be reduced to a local letter of reprimand. It wouldn't follow me, he offered. I heard his whole speech, but my head was stuck on the phrase, "This may be the worst thing you've been through in your life." It suddenly dawned on me that these senior-ranking officials had no idea who I was, or what I could or could not understand about what this girl had been through. In contrast, the lieutenants and captains who were friends and colleagues, the ones who knew my backstory and the work I'd done to keep women safe in our unit, had been almost happy when the investigation had turned its teeth on me. "Good," First Lieutenant Mark Ackman had exclaimed. "There's not a chance in hell anyone on Earth will ever believe that Captain Daniella fucking Mestenek had anything to do with an investigation of harassment. An environment of harassment. And this investigation that is tearing us apart will finally be over. This may be the worst thing that has ever happened to you." I walked away, my shoulders shaking in ironic, painful laughter. Sitting at my desk, staring at a blinking cursor, I considered what to do. Should I obey Lieutenant Colonel Halter and write a simple statement? Should I trust my leaders would get it right if they had all the information? Should I do what the uncles wanted? Not roll my eyes, not talk back, not justify myself. Just take the punishment with my head down, grateful for the correction. No, I didn't trust any of that. Since when had Uncle Sam and the U.S. Army ever done right by women? When had I ever seen a group of men in power make the choice to support a woman over the power structure that kept them in place? Private First Class Parker didn't deserve what had happened to her, but that didn't mean I deserved to take the blame and be the scapegoat. I wasn't afraid of Congress. I'd tell them my story too. I began writing and didn't stop for a full 10 pages. I started with a respectful rebuttal, providing information that had been missing and justification for my actions and my side. But where I should have stopped, I couldn't. I suddenly needed them to know how much I understood about sexual harassment and assault, how I'd fought against it my whole life, how I'd suffered from it, how I might look like the perfect all-American girl next door, but I couldn't even remember the first time a man had hurt me. I needed Colonel Maxwell to know I wasn't his patsy for Congress. I needed Lieutenant Colonel Maxwell to know the levels of worse things I'd been through, what it had taken for me to get where I stood. I needed everyone to know that I couldn't take one for the team when I'd never been a part of the team to begin with. Not really. I needed these men to understand. It felt like my life depended on it. My heart thumped and my breath came in short spurts as I walked into the command suite. With my hand poised to knock, images of all the uncles flooded through my mind. The ones who were supposed to have cared for me, loved me. The ones who hurt me, who beat me, who raped me. All my life I tried to be good. I tried to do the group thing, to play the game to the best of my ability. I'd fought hard for success in the male-dominated world, in one extreme group after the other. I gathered my courage, entered the room, dropped the pages onto Lieutenant Colonel Halter's desk, and turned on my heel, walking out without saying a word. I wanted to love the Army. I wanted the Army to love me, even though I was so different. I wanted the Army to be better, to be a place where I belonged, where women belonged. And then Colonel Halter was at my desk, paper in his hands, tears in his eyes. Don't change a thing.